Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Sheldon, episode 89. We got a loaded show for you ahead of UFC Vegas 59 PFL 7. First up, we're going to be joined by one half of the co-main event in Vicente Luque to preview his fight against Geoff Neal. This fight should be phenomenal. Both these guys are fan favorites, just come to strike. Both of them, I talked to both of them. They both think it's just going to be a striking fight, so a really fun one here. We're then going to be joined by Anthony Pettis to preview his PFL fight against Stevie Ray. Obviously, they fought in the regular season. Ray won by submission, and Anthony kind of said that wasn't him in that fight. He already clinched a playoff spot, so he basically fought that fight not to get hurt. He didn't fight he didn't fight to win. He basically just fought not to get hurt. He didn't care if he lost because he was already guaranteed. So he said, expect a much different Anthony Pettis here. We're then going to be joined by Geoff Neal to preview his fight against Vicente Luque. Same thing. He basically thinks it's going to be a striking fight and a very fun one. And both these guys are confident they can knock each other out, even though both of them have shown they're extremely durable in the UFC. We're then going to be joined by Sam Alvey to preview his fight against Michel Oleg-Zaychuk. Sam's back at 185, getting another shot in the UFC. And it's something kind of interesting. He's training at Michael Chandler's gym in Nashville. Actually got kicked out of it because they don't let people do any cross training. So he was back in California at Team Quest, finishing up his camp there. We're then going to be joined by Terrance McKinney to preview his fight against Eric Gonzalez. Terrance is back after that short notice fight against Drew Dober, where he suffered the first round TKO loss in a fight that he was close to knocking out Drew Dober, and that's hard to do. Dober has a very good chin, and really another ref might have even stopped that fight by how much McKinney was landing early on. We're then going to be joined by Bryan Battle, who's obviously the tough winner, dropping down to welterweight to face Takashi Soto. So kind of talked about why he decided to go down to welterweight and what he kind of thinks a win over Soto what a win over Soto does for him. He's obviously an experienced vet, and Battle's excited to test himself at welterweight against these guys. And then we close things out talking to Jason Witt to preview his fight against the undefeated Josh Quinlan, who's coming off the Contender Series 5-0. Jason knows he has a lot more experience. He's fought in the UFC before. He thinks that's going to help him, and he has all the confidence that he's going to get the job done here. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Vicente Luque, who's returning next Saturday. Vicente, how's it going, man?
All good, man. All good.
Uh, Fight against Geoff Neal, like, to me, this was a fight that I always thought would happen just with your two styles and where you guys kind of have been in the rankings. Like, was this a guy you thought you'd always end up fighting one day?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fight that I think it actually took long, to happen. I think it was going to happen maybe, I don't know, like 2 years ago, at least a year and a half ago. And yeah, finally it's here. I think that it's a fight that makes a lot of sense. Our styles match up really good. Two strikers, two guys that are aggressive, that have, knockout power. So I think that's always exciting, at least for me, it's exciting to look forward for a fight like this. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a special one for the fans, and I'm excited to be part of this fight.
Your last fight against Bilal, like, what do you take away from that one?
Man, that was a really important fight for me. For many reasons. I think the main reason was a fight that was gonna move me to that next level, to possibly becoming a contender and being the next challenger for the title. And unfortunately, it didn't go my way. But I realized many different things with that fight. I realized some kind of strategies that guys can try to do to beat me, and that at this point, people in the division know what I bring. They know the danger I bring to every single fight, and maybe they're gonna start trying to avoid that. So I gotta start being, kind of working around that. Making sure that I get that in training as well. I get guys that are maybe not gonna come and try to stand and bang, or go for exchange in the ground, because I also have submissions. Maybe guys that are going to try to control me and dominate, let's say, the points aspect of the game, and beat me that way. So that's something that I really realized in that fight. I think Bilal came in with a great strategy, kind of surprised me a little bit, with what he was doing. And when I watched that fight so many times, and I feel like, man, some adjustments could have changed the fight. Maybe me also being more aggressive. It was my first 5 rounder, so that was good to get out of the way. Now I know that I could hang 5 rounds in there, no problem. So, a lot of lessons learned, and for sure I'm evolving after that.
And then with Geoff, like style wise, like is this a fight that you're kind of looking forward to because it seems like one that's just going to be standing?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I anticipate. If I look at all of Jeff's fights, he's always trying to knock his opponents out. The only fight I think he kind of took down was against Nico Price because he got rocked at some point in that fight. Then he took Nico down and used the ground and pound to knock him out, TKO him at the end. So I see it mostly being a stand-up fight. If I heard him, he might try to get me down. He might try to, change something up. But also, after my last fight, I have that plan B. If he just tries to go for the safe win and try to, maybe grind me on the wall, grind me on the ground, and just, try to control me, which he could try to do because he's a very good wrestler. Uh, I'm gonna have tools for that, tools to just make it a fight in my style, which is chaos and a lot of aggression, a lot of violence. That's where I thrive, and that's what I gotta try to make every single fight. After my last fight, that became really clear to me. I cannot kind of like respect nobody's style. I just gotta go out there and fight in my own style and make it into a war.
Are you a bit disappointed this is just happening at the Apex? Like you and Geoff seem like a perfect fight that should be in front of fans.
Yeah, man. I want to fight again. In front of fans. I think it's just for me. It's always an extra motivation. I love to be in front of the fans to hear them, cheering me up. Even when they're against me, I like that as well. That fires me up. So, yeah, I wish it were somewhere else, but it is what it is. I fought a lot in the Apex, so I'm used to it. It's not going to be much different, but I wish it were with the fans.
Because we're doing this like the day of UFC 277. Like I thought this would have been when you guys would be fighting because Geoff's like from Texas. He fights out at like his gym is in Dallas. Like I thought it made all the sense for you guys to be fighting like tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it would have been, an honor for me. And timeline wise, it would have been good as well. Wouldn't be like, right now I'm ready. I'm ready. All that I got to do is cut weight and make weight next Friday. So, it could have been this Saturday. I wouldn't have a problem with that fight, but it is what it is. It's going down like that, and I think it's gonna be a great opportunity. To also put on a great fight on that card and maybe be it, in a better position, be it maybe co-main event. I'm not sure what I'm going to be. I think it's co-main or something like that.
Mhm.
So it's going to be exciting for sure.
And then you and Geoff have like fought a lot of similar opponents, like Bilal, Nico Price, like Mike Perry, like Wonder Boy. You guys both lost to. Like, how much have you looked at those fights to kind of see what he did against them and compared to how you kind of fought those guys?
Yeah, I've watched a lot of fights of his, and I don't so much compare him how he beat the guys that I beat or how he lost to the guys that I lost. That's not so much what I look at, but I look at like the biggest difference is he's a southpaw and I'm an orthodox. So I think that changes a lot of the tools he uses versus the tools I use. And in this fight, that's going to be a big thing. I'm going to try to go in there and make my kind of tools work and look for my better positionings in the stand up and the striking. And he's going to try to do the opposite because it's different. When you're a southpaw, you're trying to move to one side. You're trying to make many things different than what unorthodox is doing. So I think that's the big key for this fight. That's what I've been studying a lot. And yeah, I mean, it's good that he has a lot of fights against other strikers, against other guys that I've faced, so that I can kind of like see how he approached it. How because I know these guys, I fought them. I kind of know how tough they are. I know how hard he can hit these guys. So it's kind of like, yeah, I get an idea, but overall, I think it's gonna be about focusing on how what I'm gonna do against him and on that game, orthodox versus southpaw.
Do you think Geoff might try to wrestle you in this fight just after seeing what Bilal did and like maybe once you guys start standing and exchanging, like it seems to happen to a lot of you. Like when you start landing on guys, that's when they start shooting on you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's possible, especially if I get to hurt him at some point in the fight and not enough, to knock him out clean. he might try to wrestle, to recover, to try to get me down and maybe work in a different strategy, or even let's say maybe he game plan and he decided that wrestling is the way to go, safer way. He doesn't want to come and exchange on the striking with me. So yeah, definitely like that's something that is on my mind. I got ready for that during training camp as well. It's MMA, anything can happen. He wrestled before he was an MMA fighter, so that's something that he could try to use against me. So definitely something I've planned against as well.
And then with this one, like, how do you kind of see it playing out then?
Uh, you know, as I said, I plan for many different ways that the fight can go. But if I'm gonna tell you what I think it's gonna be a banger. I think it's gonna be a war. I've seen Geoff fight so many times. I've seen, I think his mentality is always to go out there and try to be the tougher man. Try to be not let it go to a decision and take his opponent out of that octagon as soon as he can. And that's what I think he's gonna try to do against me, and that's certainly what I'm going to try to do against him. So if both of us go in there, with our regular mentality, it's going to be a banger. It's going to be possibly fight of the night, and I'm going to be excited to be part of that.
And Jeff's a super durable guy too, like never been finished in the UFC. Like, is that something that you're trying to like become the first guy? Because you're a guy that's like fought a lot of guys that are supposed to be so durable, and you finish them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I want to finish everybody. That's what I do. That's who I am, and I want to keep that streak of a lot of finishes, and eventually maybe have the record in the UFC for most finishes in my division. Also looking for the record overall. So yeah, definitely that's something that I'm aiming for, in every single fight, not just because it's Geoff and because he has never been finished in the UFC, but anybody I fight, I'm gonna try to finish them and try to get them out before all the rounds go.
With this camp, like I know the last time against Bilal, I think you did it all in Brazil. Like, did you end up going to Florida for this one, or was it all in Brazil again?
Yeah, for this one, I had my last 4 weeks over here in Florida. I'm here right now, and I don't know. I just felt like it's been a while that I hadn't had uh, the end of my training camp over here. The last time was against I think Wonder Boy in 2019. So I just felt like I had to come here and feel different energy. Train with different guys that are. I mean, we have so much talent at this moment here in Florida at 170, and to test myself against this guy is really important. To know that to know how much I've developed and where I stand at this point in my career, and be able to develop even more my game, and that's what I felt that I did right here. And also having Henry Hooft, Greg Jones, all these guys help me out and make sure that I'm having everything I need during my training camp. That has been great as well.
And then we say you go out there and even finish Jeff. Like, where do you think that kind of puts you? Just because the welterweight division's like kind of in a weird spot where you and Jeff are kind of the first fight of like a bunch in a row happening. Like, obviously, a couple weeks after you have the title fight, and then there's Bilal and Brady, like Diaz, Shamaev. Like, so a lot of the top guys are booked. So, like, where do you think a win even kind of puts you here?
I think it will put me right into back into that mix, of the guys that eventually, with one fight or two fights are going to go for that title. And that's where I got to get back to. Before I lost, I think I was in that kind of talk. A loss set me back a little bit, but a big win, especially if I win the way I plan to win, I know it's going to put me up there, and then it's going to be about one or two fights with the right guy, and that's what I'm going to be looking for. But right now, I got to go out there and do what I want to do against Geoff Neal. Got to beat him the silent assassin way, and then we can see what's the next step going to be.
What do you make of the top of the division right now? Because obviously Usman Edwards are tied up, but then Colby's still kind of out there. Like no one knows who he's gonna fight. Gilbert is in a weird spot because like I don't really know who he fights because all the top guys are booked, and then you have Shimavov's fighting Diaz, and then Bilal is fighting Brady way down, and then it's you. Like it's kind of been like a limbo. Like I don't really know where you or Gilbert really go.
I know, man. It's the welterweight division is always kind of like moving back and forward, and we don't know what's going to happen. But I don't know. I think that's what makes it exciting, and that's what makes all the fans really look at this division and get excited for these fights. And for me to be able to be at the top of a division that is as packed as this one is, it's a pleasure. And I love to fight, so I know that if I got to do 3, 4 fights to earn my shot, I'll do them, and I'll do everything it takes. And it's just a matter of time. I'm gonna get there, and I know that, and I'm working for that. So I'm excited, to go out there, do what I do, and look and see what's gonna go on next.
Just two more things. Like, were you surprised to see the Chimaev Diaz fight and then Bilal have to fight down and fight Brady after beating you?
Yeah, I mean, Belal and Diaz fight was something that kind of surprised me a little bit, but I know that the UFC wanted to make that fight for a while, and eventually, Diaz has to fight. He has been so long without fighting, so finally he's gonna go, get back to action, and it's a fight that I actually like. As a fan, as somebody that's gonna watch it, I'm excited to see what's gonna go on. I I would put I don't know I would put Chimaev as favorite just because he looked really he proved that he can hang with tough guys when he fought Gilbert, and Gilbert is as tough as they come, and Chimaev survived and was able to get that win, so he has proven that aspect. Now Diaz hasn't fought for a while, so I cannot. I don't know. I wouldn't put my money on him, but I still think that he can go out there and make it challenging. He can always surprise. That's what Diaz does. And yeah, I think that Sean Brady has been looking really good. He deserves a big fight. Uh, Bilal, I think when I see that matchup, I think it's great for Sean, and it's not that good for Bilal. But at the same time, Bilal is kind of like in that mentality. He's gonna do whatever it takes to get to the title. If he's got to fight down, he's got to fight down, and I do admire that on him. I think that's at the end of the day, we're fighters. We gotta go out there and stay active, pick up wins, and earn our way to the title, and that's what Bilal is looking to do. So, yeah, I wouldn't say it's the best fight for him in the sense of moving him forward, but it says a lot about what he is as a fighter. And if he gets that win, it's there's not much denying him at least a number one contender or a title fight after that.
And just last thing, like, are you hoping like ideal goal then is maybe get one more in this year? Or you think this might be it for you?
Man, I'll be trying for that. Like, one more maybe in December. But we got to see. Me and Geoff, we're heavy hitters. We go out there and we give our hearts into the fight. So I don't know. I got to see how I'm gonna step out of the fight. Even picking up a win might be a fight where I'm gonna have a little of fatigue. A little of body damage. But we'll see if I'm healthy. If I get out of it as I plan to, yeah, I'm gonna try to push for one more this year.
And your next fight has to be in front of fans.
Yes, definitely, man. Yeah, I don't want Apex anymore. At least, I want to get back to those fans. We should have even fight nights always with the crowd. It's much better.
Well, Vicente, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we're joined by PFL lightweight Anthony Pettis, who's got his semifinal matchup coming soon. Anthony, how's it going, man?
I can't complain, bro. Just living the life.
Uh, Rematching Stevie Ray, like after that fight, like obviously the standings were made that you would be fighting him. Like, how glad were you then that you could run it right back with him?
Yeah, the PFL format's dope. I actually get this rematch right back. And this one matters a lot more. Like, it was weird having two fights booked back to back. Our game plan going into the last fight was kind of play it safe and try to avoid injuries, and it backfired on me. So I'm glad I get this rematch.
You obviously hurt your rib in that one. Like, how long did that kind of take for you to heal and like kind of get back to fully training?
It's an old injury. It actually happened in the Dustin Poirier fight, the same exact way. Just cartilage inside of my rib. Luckily, I tapped before it popped. Like I just felt the pressure on it. Like he put like this. He had the body triangle on, and then when he put his arm over my neck and went under my arm, that's when all that pressure. I felt all the pressure. His cup was like digging right into that spot. So I knew I had the fight booked in August 5th already. So I was like, yo, let's tap and make it to my actual playoff spot. Try to get injury free. So I mean, it took me like 2-3 weeks before I could actually start moving again. But I already trained for this guy. I kind of studied him already. I'm just gonna fight the fight totally differently. I'm not gonna go out there southpaw and play kick game with him. I'm gonna go out there and bite down my mouthpiece and try to finish him.
Was that hard for you? Just because, like, obviously you want to win every fight, but like you weren't really fighting for anything. Like your playoff spot was already secured. Like I imagine even for me, just like it would have been kind of hard getting up and training if you already know your next fight and this fight really didn't mean anything for you.
You know, I knew I was getting ready for a fight, but like I think the whole training camp before that fight was like point sparring and play it safe. That's why I came out southpaw. It's my traditional taekwondo stance. You know, it's like my whole life I've been sparring that way. And instead of point, you know, I shouldn't have point sparred him. I should have went out there and tried to knock the guy out. But you know, I went for a takedown that was kind of stupid on my behalf, amateur takedown, and I went for an outside leg trip. Didn't fully get it, and we got caught in a weird position, and then I let him take my back and put the hooks in, and you know I tried my reversal that I usually always do, and I know he was watching my IG because like that week I posted out the video. I was like, it works every time, and I hit it on I hit it on Charles Oliveira, Nate Diaz, you know, some of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the UFC. So he probably was studying it. He follows my IG, and you know, he had a trap for me, and I got caught in it.
And how much do you take away from that fight? Like you mentioned there, like how you were trying different things, but obviously you are rematching him. Like, do you look back on that fight a lot, or do you kind of throw that out when you're preparing for this one?
I just watched it actually not too long ago, just to see like you know how he was pressuring me. I was doing very well on the feet, even in the southpaw stance. I switched orthodox just for a little bit. I hit him with like a knee punch combo. I hurt him with a high kick. You know, I saw him get dizzy with a high kick. And I didn't capitalize on it because I was playing it safe. You know, I didn't go out there and try to finish him like I usually do. So I watched it just to see how he was reacting, but my fighting style is gonna be totally different.
And do you kind of expect him just to try to take you down and try to get back to that same move again, or do you think he'll try to strike with you?
I mean, he's gonna try to strike with me. He was definitely pushing forward on the striking, trying to throw his big left hand. But he's gonna feel a totally different, you know, game plan. And I'm not gonna go out there southpaw. I mean, I even say it in the interviews. I'm going out there orthodox, you know, trying to finish this guy, put my power hand behind me. The crazy thing is, I initiated a takedown that caused that sequence. You know, I went for the outside grip, and that's how we got to the ground. He shot in a couple times on me, and I just used that underhook and jacked him up and put him on the fence. So I mean, I'm sure he'll mix it in a little bit, but I think he didn't have success taking me down the first time. He's gonna have to rely on a stand up a little bit.
And how much like more enjoyable have this kind of year been like for you now that you're fighting in front of fans? I remember talking to you last year in the PFL, and like when you were in the bubble, I think it was like what, like 20 days or 21 days you had to be there. Like how much more just enjoyable is actually fighting now for you?
Man, it's so much more enjoyable. I mean, even like in Atlanta, I didn't get my hand raised, but having the fans there changes the dynamic of how you feel as a fighter. Yeah, we had, you know, the first season with 21 days in the bubble, and then we would fight, and then we would, you know, go home for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and then boom, right back in the bubble. So it was like, you know, it felt like I was in like, I don't know, like a jail or something. It was like, man, it was crazy because it was like, I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to like being away from my training camp for 3 weeks before a fight and having one training partner in there. So, and then my coaches had to be in there with me. Everybody's just attitude was just like, you could even tell the staff just wanted to get out of there. It was just like, you know, they did handle it, you know, very professionally though. Like the PFL spent a lot of money to house all these fighters for 3 weeks and make sure they were fed, and it was comfortable as possible. But yeah, for me, I didn't like that style of fighting, especially not having any fans there. You know, the fans help out huge for me.
And with Stevie, like you mentioned a couple of times, you're going out there to finish him. Like, how do you kind of see it playing out?
I'm gonna use my stand up a lot more, and I'm gonna go out there and, you know, I fight orthodox. I'm gonna fight with my right hand and back. I had success with, you know, orthodox. I hit him with a high kick. I saw him get dizzy a little bit, and I just didn't pull the trigger to finish him, and you know it backfired on me. So, you know, I'm gonna go out there and just fight a smart fight, not nothing you know, too flashy, and just go out there, bite on my mouthpiece, and you know, finish this guy.
Do you have to kind of worry about not taking too much damage as well? Just because like it is a pretty quick turnaround. Again, like the finals are end of October. Like it is not that long after this fight.
Nah, I mean, this one actually matters. Like having that last fight was like, literally, I was like, yeah, this fight doesn't matter. It was like kind of like, let's not get hurt and, you know, get to our playoff spot. This fight matters, and I got to win this fight to get to that, you know, championship fight. And you know, I got 15 minutes to get the job done. We're both main event. You know, it's in New York City. You know, I'm excited about this one.
And then the other semifinal matchup is OAM and then Alex Martinez. Like, who do you kind of think wins that fight?
Man, Martinez actually surprised me, you know, pulling the upset up over Clay Collar. I thought I'd be seeing Clay pretty soon. He fought a smart game plan, man. He uses wrestling, uses jiu-jitsu very well. OAM, you know, smart game plan to beat Haush. You know, he shut him out pretty much. So I don't know who wins that fight, but I'm focused on Stevie Ray. Like I got to get my revenge on this guy.
Were you a bit disappointed you didn't get a fight Jeremy Stephens this year? Just because I thought that fight would have been very fun, like made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I beat Jeremy Stephens in the UFC, so I think that fight again. But yeah, bro, the guy that I fought, Miles Price, and I thought Miles won that last fight. Honestly, I thought he pulled the decision off. But Jeremy's, he's a tough guy. I think I'll definitely see him in next season.
Yeah, that's something I want to touch on. Like, I know you've signed for PFL for a while. Like, are you still under contract for next season as well?
No, this is my last season under contract right now. So we got to go figure out what happens after this one.
I guess you probably want to wait till after you win it. Then you could kind of negotiate some more money if you're the champion.
Yeah, my big goal right now is becoming a 3 promotional champion. I won in the WEC, I won in the UFC. Now I got a chance to do it in the PFL. I'm 2 fights away from it. I busted my ass this year, bro. I've been training since December. So I just feel like I'm in a great spot, and I mentally I'm just very focused on getting that job done.
What do you think that does for your legacy? Like, especially being a UFC champion alone cements it, but then being a WEC and then PFL, who's like a top 3 organization in the world, like having 3 different belts in those promotions. Like, what do you think that does to your legacy? Like, not many other fighters even win like 2 major belts.
Yeah, bro, I think it'd be huge for my legacy. Like I think what I did in the UFC is already cemented, and that's history. That's never going to be taken away. Right now I'm writing some new history, and PFL is coming up as like one of the big player organizations. I mean, they have some big names behind them, and they're doing it right. They're building this organization very well. So being a champion here, cements my spot and just being one of the best of all time.
And then you're fought at welterweight as well in the UFC. Like, was that ever a thought of maybe hopping up into the welterweight season next year? Or you kind of just focus on 55?
Yeah, right now 55 is very easy for me to make when especially in this format. You don't have time to like blow up and get big. So like I've been pretty much 175 pounds this whole year, and then making that cut down to 55 is pretty easy. So yeah, I haven't really thought about moving up a weight class yet. I think right now I'm just focused on 155.
Just a couple more things. Like, obviously your brother is the champ. Like, how kind of disappointing though were you when he had to pull that Grand Prix? Because that was like a big opportunity for him to become like a much bigger star than what he is.
Oh yeah, man, it sucks. To see Rafion Stotts, one of our teammates, get the shine that he's getting. It's awesome. I think Rafion wins that Grand Prix, so I think sure might see Rafion, at the end of this. But yeah, no one wants to get pulled out by injuries, bro. Like, it was a crazy injury, freak accident. Like, he was just defending a single leg, had a wizard, and boom, popped his bottom leg. It took him out for a year and a half. And I had that happen to me, bro. When I won the belt, I tore my PCL, and I had to be out for a year before I fought Gilbert Melendez. So it's a rough time, honestly, because you're like, you get all that hype, and then boom, you're a year out. You can't train, you can't fight, you can't defend yourself. I mean, it's a hard spot to be in. So I'm glad he's taking it the way he is, and he's recovering well. I think we'll see him, early next year, hopefully when his Grand Prix is over.
You and Sergio got to be like maybe the best, or like right up there for like brother duos to do MMA.
I think we're the only champions, champions that ever done it. So yeah, I would say we're right up there.
Just a couple more things. Like, in the UFC, like, you have like so many moments, like the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson knockout is like one of my favorite ones. Like, do you kind of have one that sticks out for you?
Wonderboy was a big one for me, man, because that was a big test. I was coming off a loss against Tony Ferguson, and I'm like, let me fight the I think it was like number 2 or 3 welterweight at the time. And, I just knew I had a style to beat him. I was like, I know how to beat that guy, just because karate, taekwondo, point sparring, I've seen all the kicks already. And it was a lot tougher than I expected, bro. He was busting my nose up. He was way bigger than I expected. And, to knock him out the way I did, I think I'm the only person to knock him out still. That was a big one for me. I mean, obviously the winning the belt in my hometown, man, that was crazy. First round, armbar, flawless victory. I had some big moments.
And then Charles Oliveira, like, that's a guy you beat. When you fought him and beat him, like, did you ever think he'd go on to be like this good and this kind of dominant?
Nah, I didn't. We fought at 45, which is crazy. I was cutting down to 45. I knew he was good. His striking was a lot better than I expected, and I knew his jiu-jitsu was, some of the best in that UFC's ever seen. But to see what he's doing right now is amazing, bro. He found his rhythm. He found his groove. He's probably even surprised that he got to that spot. Because, I mean, In MMA, it's different, bro. Like, it's not like boxing. If you lose one fight, you're out. Like, MMA, it takes some time to put it all together. And then once you find it, you got to get the confidence to match it. And then, you just take it as far as you can go with it. And to see what he's doing right now is pretty amazing.
And then he goes out there and, like, say he beats Islam and gets, like, one more in there. Like, he's up there as, like, the best lightweight ever, like, one of the best lightweights.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Yeah, I just got asked in another interview about Khabib being, like, the GOAT. And everybody's running with, like, Pettis doesn't think Khabib's like, all the media's running with that. But I'm like, it's hard to say he's the GOAT just because based on, like, what Oliveira's doing right now, too. Like, to see the names he's beating. Like, John Jones cleared out the division, and, like, now he's moving up and he left as a champion. Like, Oliveira has a chance to do that, bro. He beats Islam. The next in line is, Beneil and Gamrot. And Gamrot's kind of brand new to the division. So, like, I would say Oliveira cleared out the division after this one.
Yeah, and, like, with Khabib, like, his biggest wins were Conor, Gaethje, Poirier, and then RDA, like, before he got the belt. Like, Oliveira's done Poirier, Gaethje, and then Chandler's, like, pretty similar to McGregor, and then Ferguson and RDA were probably pretty similar. It's like he's been like the similar guys that Khabib did, and he's still doing it. It's like he can easily pass them.
Definitely the most dominant champion, but just to say the GOAT, it's just hard to say. That's all my argument was.
Well, Anthony, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this. All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Geoff Neal, who's got a massive fight upcoming. Geoff, how's it going, man?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Like, Vicente, Luque, like, this always seemed to me like a fight that was bound to happen between you two. Like, is this a guy that you always thought you'd end up fighting?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because we have like a lot of mutual opponents. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the dudes I fought, he fought him like before I had the chance to fight him. So I've seen a lot of film on him that just like, you know what I mean? Just because I'm watching film on my opponents and he happens to be an opponent of like the people that I'm about to fight. So yeah, and I knew it was going to happen. Like a lot of times, like I will be looking for a fight, and I'm like, if I can't find a fight, I know Luque will fight me. You know what I mean? So he's always been somebody that is always willing to fight. Because I wanted to fight Sean Brady, so he didn't want to fight. So then they gave me Luque, and I took that.
How come you wanted to fight Brady? Like that's a guy not many people are calling out.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I just wanted to fight Brady. It was one of the ones that made more sense to me. You know what I mean? But I guess it didn't make sense to him. But I mean, I guess I got a better deal out of it because now I'm fighting the number 6 ranked dude. So I'll take that.
Your last fight, like, what'd you take away from that performance? Like, obviously, beat Santiago, a very tough, durable dude, and like got back in the win column as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like that last fight. I was just kind of just passive that fight. You know what I mean? I could have did a lot more. You know what I mean? I still won, but I didn't fully exert myself that fight. You know what I mean? I could have probably got a finish if I really tried to.
And then we're doing this a day before 277. Like, are you surprised you're not on this card given it's in Dallas and you're fighting like a week after?
Yeah, kind of surprised. But I mean, it is what it is, but I would have loved to be on this card. You know what I mean? I wanted to, but that was actually the goal. You know what I mean? Back in like April when I found out that the card was going to be here, like I wanted to get on the card, but for whatever reason that didn't happen. I don't know the reason, but I'm just glad I got to fight.
And especially like you and Luque are both well-known guys. Like would have been a good addition to the pay-per-view, and it's a fun fight that the fans would love to be a part of.
Oh yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I don't get why we aren't on that card, but I'm cool. You know what I mean? It's I'm still getting paid the same, so fuck it.
A bit of a layoff, like not having fought since December. Like, was that on your end, or was that just like you couldn't get a fight?
I mean, it was on my end, on you know what I mean, my coach's end, and like just reassessing and dealing with all the other stuff I had to deal with, and now I'm ready. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do got to take time off and rest and relax and recharge your brain, and I'm feeling recharged and I'm ready to go.
What you make of Luque's last fight? Like, obviously lost to Bilal. I know that like that's a guy you beat, and you guys have kind of become friends and trained. Like, what you kind of make of that performance?
I mean, I can't really make because me and styles make fights. You know what I mean? That was just Bilal was just a bad style for Luque. You know what I mean? I'm not a wrestler, so I can't really take too much from that fight and apply it to because I beat Bilal. Yeah, he lost to Bilal, but maybe I got better takedown defense than Luque does. You know what I mean? But this fight's probably not going to be based on who has better takedowns or better takedown defense. It's going to be about striking. So that fight means nothing to me in regards to how I look at Luque.
Who are the main guys you're working with? Like, obviously, Alex is fighting tomorrow. I imagine he was probably a big part of your camp. And then Mies was supposed to be on the card. Like, were those kind of the main guys you're working with? And Uriah?
Those are the main guys. And they had two others. One of my New Year's training partners, Jules. I've been working with him, and then Zumar. Mm-hmm. These are just uppercomer guys. Like I don't know if you know or heard of them, but they're getting up there.
Do you like working with those up and comers? Because like anytime I talk to a fighter, like they prefer working with those over the UFC guys because like they don't go easy on you. Like they try to like win rounds against you.
No, yeah, they it's like they have, I don't know if it's like fear or if they have something to prove, but yeah, I like it. You know what I mean? Like, because if you don't come at me, I'm not going to, like, you know what I mean? It makes me work harder when somebody's trying to take my head off and trying to beat my ass. You know what I mean? So when I'm training, please come at me, make me work harder.
Style-wise against Luque, like, do you just imagine this is probably just going to be a kickboxing fight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any other way, like, unless he's planning on taking me down. But I don't think he has the wrestling to take me down. I don't think he does, but who knows? I mean, I've been working on takedown defense. I train the same way every fight, you know what I mean? To, you know what I mean, wherever I want the fight to go, I could take it there. So, I mean, it really doesn't matter what he does. But I think it's going to be a kickboxing fight.
How much do you look at his fights against like Mike and Wonderboy and like guys that you fought to kind of see how he did against them?
I mean, not too often. Like this is around the time where I really start watching film, because I don't like to obsess on like what they're doing and, like, you know what I mean, because during camp I'm grinding, I'm training for a fight, you know what I mean, and at this point in camp now it's time to like get all the technical aspects, you know what I mean. There were certain things I was doing in training, like this based off of, you know what I mean, like, you know what Luque is good at, what everybody knows Luque is good at, you know what I mean, like his hook, and then he changes stances now. So we worked that, but like now I'm starting to really watch and digest and like pick them apart right now.
And Vicente's like as durable as they come. Like same with you, like both you guys are super hard to finish. Like, are you just kind of expecting it to go probably the distance?
No. Hell no. I don't like going the distance. Like that's as far as Luque going the distance with somebody like him is it screams brain damage all over it. So I want to get it done in the first or second round. Like I'm not trying to be in there bleeding all over the cage. You know what I mean? Let's just let's get in there. Let's throw down and let's get this shit over with.
Like, do you think you probably can knock him out then, or do you think it could be like even something where you hurt him and then hop on a choke?
I think anybody can get knocked out. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do think I can knock him out, but I'm not going to bank on that. You know what I mean? But if it happens, it happens. But I do have the power. I have the size. I have the speed. You know what I mean? I have the accuracy, and it can happen. You know, I fought Mike Perry. Mike Perry had never been knocked out. You know, so, and then I TKO'd him. So it doesn't matter. Like everybody has a chin until they don't. You know, so.
And then everyone kind of seems like they want to stand with you for a bit, and then they all end up shooting. Like, do you kind of expect Vicente to maybe shoot at least once in this fight?
I highly doubt it. I don't think that's in his DNA.
And then with this one, like, where do you think a win puts you? Like, you're getting a guy like right near that top 5, and Vicente's like a guy that if he beat Bilal, you could have been in a title eliminator fight.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I beat him. I just go to his spot, number 6, I guess. He's number 6, right?
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at the rankings lately. So yeah, I'll just take his place, and we'll see what happens after that. You know what I mean? Because I haven't looked past him yet. You know what I mean? So I haven't seen what my plans are after this fight. You know what I mean? I don't know how fighters can do that. I don't do that. Like, you know what I mean? I got a grown ass man about to step in front of the cage across from me and try to beat me up, and I'm worried about some other shit. No, I'm just worried about Luque right now.
And a guy like Vicente is like the person you do not want to look past, like how violent he is.
Yeah, it's like, so that would be dumb for me. But like, you know what I mean? He's my main focus, so that's all I'm worried about. You know what I mean? And usually after the fights, my coach will like he'll like chomp some shit in my ear. He's like, all right, say this, and then that's when I'll be like, okay, this is the person I'm gonna call out during the post-fight press conference or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess you and Vicente though are kind of in a weird spot, like whoever wins, because the division, like you guys are kind of the first fight, like a bunch of the like high ranked guys, like obviously like a month or a couple weeks after is like the title fight, and then Bilal and Brady are fighting, then obviously Diaz and Chimaev's like there's all the top guys there, so like you don't really have anyone to call out really.
No, exactly. And then a lot of the other ones don't want to fight. They prima donnas and they want to just, you know what I mean? It's some will shake, you know what I mean? Make some ways, you know what I mean? If it's, I beat him, I'm in a good spot, you know what I mean? And I'm not gonna complain. I'm gonna buy my time and something will shake.
Yeah, I guess the only two available guys are like Colby and Gilbert, but who knows when Colby's
Yeah.
gonna fight, and Gilbert, like
Yeah.
I don't really even know who he fights because everyone's booked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be a good one. Like, say, call out Gilbert. I don't know. Who knows?
What do you think of the Diaz Chimaev fight? Like, obviously that's in your weight class. Like, I think it's not. Like, I don't even think it's gonna be close.
I don't know. Like, unless like I don't see Diaz knocking him out, and I also don't see Diaz stopping his takedowns. So maybe if Diaz like pulls off some like random go-go plata off his back. I don't know. I don't know where he's going to win, but we'll see. You never know. Like he could shock everybody.
And then I guess one opponent, like not next, but like maybe down the line, is that Kevin Holland rematch? Like, is that a fight you'd want to get back?
We'll see. I mean, yeah, it's not that I want to get it back. It's just like I know that rematch is going to generate a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like that's in the past. You know what I mean? I take my L and I walk away from it. I'm not mad about it. But yeah, if it comes to a point where Kevin's up there and we're in the top, you know what I mean? Like shit, maybe a title contention fight or a title fight. You know what I mean? Like that's what I see as far as that fight. I'm not going to waste the fight just because I got some hurt ego and I want to get that fight back. I was like, if that can really bring a lot of money, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna wait for it.
Something we kind of talked about earlier, but like 8 months off, like, do you think you're gonna be a much better like fighter? Because whenever I talk to like anyone at your gym, like you guys all kind of rave about when you're not in fight camp and safe can kind of help you with a lot of stuff. That's when you guys get a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna see like I guess a new and improved. Everybody says that shit.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I'm gonna come in, I'm a new and improved fighter. Like you're gonna see something. You know what I mean? I always feel like I'm a better fighter every fight. You know what I mean? So I just gotta go out there and perform. That's it.
I know we said not look past Luque, but like win or lose, hoping get at least one more in so you can have 2 fights this year.
No, that's one thing for sure. Win or lose, I'm gonna win. But getting one more fight at the end of the year, before the end of the year, I'll probably do the same thing I did the past few years in a fight in December.
Hopefully in front of fans this time and not at the Apex.
Hopefully, like please, I really want to fight in front of fans. I'm tired of the Apex, but Apex is cool. It's easy, it's convenient, whatever. But I do miss the crowd environment. You know what I mean?
And then the smaller octagon, like, do you think that plays any role in fights? Do you think people like over like hype it as it is?
I didn't notice it. I don't like I didn't notice it. I fought 2 times in there in the small one, and then when I fought Pons at the T-Mobile Arena, I really didn't see too much difference in the cage size. I don't know.
Just last thing, the shirt, is that for 25 clean tests with USADA?
25. I'm on like 30 now. Got this a while back. Yeah.
You're getting
Steroids
close to that
for
50
losers.
jacket then.
What's up?
You're getting close to that jacket when you get 50.
Yeah, I want money. Give me money. give me 10 G's for being a clean athlete. But yeah, no, I like it. You know what I mean? Fight clean.
Yeah. Well, Geoff, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, no.
All right, we're joined by UFC middleweight Sam Alvey, who's back in action pretty soon. Sam, how's it going?
Oh, doing wonderfully, my friend.
Before we start, you had a book. Like, do you want to show everyone what kind of book you were reading?
Well, yeah. Well, see, I've been lacking, so my team got together and bought me a good piece of literature. So now I'm a safe bet now. It's my alarm reminding me I've got an interview with you.
Yeah. With this one, like obviously you took your last fight with Brendan on like kind of short notice. So like after that fight, like did the UFC kind of tell you that you're gonna get one more and fight out your contract?
Yeah, they made me sweat. The internet always freaks out when I don't get cut. So, usually it's the Tuesday after they release the list of who's going to be cut. And I was expecting to be on the list. I mean, by all means, I wouldn't hold it against anyone. But it didn't come, and the internet freaked out a little bit, calling me a bunch of names. But it is what it is. I figured it's still going to come. And it was probably about 2.5 weeks later, Mick Maynard, he called me up and he said, "Hey, Sam, you've had a string of bad luck. They were good fights, and we really appreciate everything you've done for the company and with us. And there are a lot of fighters that when they come into fight week, they come into camp, they're just kind of angry, and you guys have never been that. And so because of that, we're gonna let you fight out your contract. I have one more fight on my current contract, and he said we're gonna let it happen. A lot of short notice fights, a lot of bad decisions, and we're gonna let you finish this contract."
Obviously last fight was at 205, but once that happened, like was it always to go back down to 185?
The last fight wasn't supposed to be a 205.
Yeah.
The fight was supposed to be middleweight. That was my third opponent for that fight card. I was supposed to fight Heinisch first, and then Phil Hawes, and then 3 days before my fight, Hawes was out, and he made Brendan Allen stepped up, and Bryan said, "I'll take it, but it's got to be at 205." I said, "Well, damn." So I was already under 205. I was already like 199 when I got the word. So, "Oh, okay, sounds like that's what I'll do." So I fought at 205 last time.
And then your opponent in Michel Oleksiejczuk, like how familiar are you with him? Like he's a 205er that's dropping down to 185 for the first time.
So when I got the call for this fight, he told me the wrong guy. He told me Misha Serkinov, and I knew Misha a little bit. Real nice guy. Met him a few times, talked to him a couple times. I said, "Oh, cool. This is it's an exciting fight." I never thought Misha would come down because he's kind of a big 205er. And then I got a call 10 minutes later saying, "Hey, Sam, I gave you the wrong name. You're going to be fighting Michael Olenjinzek." I haven't figured out how to say his name yet. I said, okay. So I Googled him because I had not heard of him. He's fought some good guys. He gave Ovin St. Preux a hell of a first round. And he's made some waves in the UFC. He was on a 2-fight tear. He dropped his last one to a split decision, but he's a very talented fighter. He's a Polish guy. I'm sure they're trying to they're not trying to give him a win, but I know they like seeing their foreign fighters win. And on paper, I should be as easy a fight as you could find.
You've done that before, like 85 205, and then vice versa. Like, how do you think that's going to kind of impact him? Because this is supposed to be his first time going out 85.
I think he's a European middleweight, which is really an American welterweight. He's not a big guy. Looking at all of his fights, looking who he's, I know how big some of the guys are that he's fought, and he's significantly smaller than a lot of them. I'm taller than him by 3 or 4 inches. I've got a longer reach than him by 3 or 4 inches. I think I'm going to be the bigger fighter. Right now, I've got about 30 pounds to go, and I'm feeling pretty good. So I don't think the size is going to matter that much. I always hope that my opponent misses weight because then I get another 20%, maybe 30%, whatever they say. So I hope he misses weight, but I'm not concerned with him being that much bigger than me.
I know you live in like Tennessee, but you still train out at Team Quest. Like, how did you kind of do camp for this one?
So right now I'm out in California. I had plenty of notice for this fight. I do fully expect this opponent to fall through and me to get somebody else. I'm probably going to get like a D1 wrestler the week of up at maybe heavyweight or something. So that's probably what's going to happen. But I've been out here for about 4 weeks now. We got another 2 weeks of training, and I fight in 3 weeks. And I had plenty of time to train out in Tennessee too beforehand. So I've had a good camp. I've been easing my weight down and keeping myself feeling real good for this.
Do you have a set gym in Tennessee, or do you kind of just bounce around a bunch of different ones?
No, my main gym is a Guardian MMA. It was Nashville MMA, and they kicked me out. So I found a new one, and I'm very happy with Guardian MMA. They've got some of the best jiu-jitsu of any gym I've ever had the pleasure of working out with.
Why'd they kick you out? Isn't that Chandler's gym that he runs or whatever?
He doesn't run it. He does own it. I've never met Chandler. He trains down in Florida most of the time, but his name is all over the inside of it. No, they didn't tell me at first, and I told them off the bat, I said, I will be here 75% of the time, but I'm going to finish my fight camps with my team, with Team Quest out in California. And they said, okay, sure. And then I got out in California, and they kicked my buddy out, Jordan Winsky's a Bellator guy. Kicked him out of the gym for the same reason. And I said, well, that means they're coming for me next. And so when I got home, I went and talked to them, and they said, yeah, our higher ups, that they've decided they don't want anyone training here if they're going to train somewhere else also. So they were nice about it, but at the end of the day, they still kicked me out.
And then with your fight with Michel, like, how do you think you match up against him? Like, a very strong, like very good striker, similar to yourself. Like, I feel like this one should just be a stand-up fight.
Yeah, likely will be. I've never seen him. I mean, his last fight, he got a takedown, but it wasn't really a shot. But that was the first time he's ever gotten a takedown or done anything. His takedown defense is real solid. So that's good for him. He's fast. He's probably faster than I am. He doesn't hit that hard from what I can tell, but as everyone knows, a punch that lands is a great punch. So I've got to try real hard not to get hit. But the nice and bad thing about me is I've got over 80 fights, and you can watch just about every one of them. And I fought fairly the same for about 80 fights now. So if I add anything different, if I train anything different, if I do anything a little different than I'm used to doing, it could throw somebody off. So I've been working real hard at changing some things, and my added time out in Tennessee has added some weapons to my arsenal that I'm prepared to use.
And then I remember you posted on Instagram, I think after your last loss, that you were going to take a lot of time off because you wanted to work on some things. Like, so is this a lot sooner than what you expected to return?
No, shoot. I'm the guy I think I hold the record for most fights in a year in the UFC. So this has been about 6 months, and that's a long time for me.
With this one too, like, how do you kind of see it playing out then?
I'm going to knock him out at 4 minutes and 45 seconds of the first round.
Precise. I like it. This is like your last fight of your deal. So like, do you think like it could even be like win or lose? This might be it for you in the UFC. Or do you think you like a win and they'll re-sign you?
You know what? It could be. It could be the end of my UFC career, and I've had a good run. I've been here for 10 years. This will be my 25th fight. I've been blessed with the career that the UFC's helped me achieve, and I'm looking forward to doing whatever comes next. Hopefully, it's with the UFC. If it's not, the only thing I would be happier with than the UFC is WWE. So that's always been my goal, is WWE, AEW, something like that. That's what got me into fighting to begin with. So that would be it. But if that didn't happen, I would still fight. I've got a lot of fights to go. I still love the sport. I'm not injured. I've got so many fights, and I don't have any lingering injuries. So I've been truly blessed in that regard. I did tear my labrum a little bit before my last fight, but that's all. I've rehabbed that with the UFC, and everything's feeling good. So after this fight, with or without the UFC, I look forward to having a great second half of my career.
Do you put like a lot of pressure? Maybe not pressure the right word, but do you put any like thing where you have to get the finish just because of how many decisions have been close that haven't gone your way on this losing streak?
I don't want to put the pressure on myself. I am a finisher, maybe not recently, but I am a finisher. I think I'm like close to 30 finishes throughout my career. I finished most of my fights. I got to go out there and I got to make contact. I've gotten so caught up with I hit hard. I forget about how good I am at other stuff. So as long as I'm making contact, I'm going to find that sweet spot.
Like, you've been in the UFC forever too. So like, if this is it, like, is there a favorite kind of moment that kind of sticks out for you?
The moment everybody remembers the best is Rashad Evans.
Mm-hmm.
And I did love that moment. It's a great moment to go up against a Hall of Famer like that. But my favorite fight in the organization is Nate Marquardt. He was my coach on The Ultimate Fighter. And I've done so many things in this career that most people will never get the opportunity to do. They just don't fight as much as I do. But fighting a coach is something nobody gets to do. Nobody does do. And I got to do it. So that was a little personal victory for myself there.
The Dan Kelly one, wouldn't that have been a pretty big one for you too? Because I feel like that was the win that kind of puts you on the map.
That was pretty cool. That was more than the Dan Kelly fight. So the two, there's the kick him in the dick fight, which is in Australia. That's pretty. Everybody remembers that one. But the Dan Kelly fight was fun because I called him out and I got the fight. He was 14-0 going into the fight, and I was his first loss ever. And I hurt my knee in that camp. I tore my MCL like early on, and I was fighting a judo, was a silver medalist or something, Olympian, with only one knee, and that I was able to go out there and improve. I didn't need both of them was pretty cool.
Just two more things. Like we kind of talked about, we joked for a couple of these interviews of it was always your last shot in the UFC. Like, does that kind of like remove a lot of the pressure where it doesn't seem like you're fighting for your job because you keep getting these fights?
You know what? I can't be cut. The internet's right. Smiling Sam can't be cut. I don't have to get re-signed, but I'm not getting cut, baby.
Does that like annoy you at all, or do you just kind of laugh when like the UFC announces they release a bunch of people, and it seems like all the comments that goes, "Oh, Sam Alvey lives another day," or "Oh, where's Sam Alvey?" and all that.
You know what? They're talking about me. The internet's a terrible place, but if you look at how many likes I get to how many bad comments I get, the likes outnumber the comments significantly. I understand that everyone calls Artem Lobov the GOAT, and they say it tongue in cheek. I understand. Everyone says I've got something on Dana. They say kind of tongue in cheek. At the end of the day, I love what I do. I love that there are people out there that love watching what I do, and I know the UFC would not keep me on if I didn't bring eyes to the TV. I know I've been there a long time. I know I've seen some of the numbers of when I fight. People tune in. And the UFC uses that. ESPN uses that. I'm always a good fight. I'm always an entertaining fighter, and that there's a reason they've kept me on board for so long.
And then just the last thing is like, what is kind of the goal then for you this year? Just because you fight August, like, are you hoping at least one more UFC or not? Like one more fight at least this year?
Yeah, let's get one more. If it's not the WWE, let's get one more fight somewhere, whether it be Bellator, PFL, Eagle FC, KSW. One, I would love to fight in one. That would be a lot of fun. I wouldn't have to cut so much weight over in one. WWE or bare knuckle. Who knows? Maybe I'd do that. There are a lot of fun fights out there. A lot of people would pay to watch it happen, and I can't stress. I love striking. I love this. I was a trumpet player before I ever started fighting, and that I stumbled into the UFC like I did has been just a dream I didn't know I had.
Just one quick thing is I know you do the YouTube and TikTok. If you kind of want to just tell people how to follow that and all that, you can go ahead.
I love TikTok, that Chinese-owned organization. I love it. I have so much fun there. So please follow me. I'm Smiling Sam on everything. And then I've got my own YouTube channel now too. And I've been doing pretty good at pumping out a lot of behind the scenes. One of the unique things about me is I have more fights, more experiences than fighters have, than probably any fighter will ever have again. I think Mousasi still has more than me. And shoot, that might be about it. Oh, and Tony Lopez. Tony Lopez has more fights than me. There's not many people that. Oh, Olin Jacek. He's another one. So they're like three guys with more fights than me. But I have been everywhere. I've done just about everything, and I'm slowly but surely trying to tell my fun stories from over the years on my YouTube channel.
Well, Sam, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, you're very welcome, my friend. Thank you.
All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight now, Bryan Battle. Bryan, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. You know what I'm saying? We're always training, always getting better. Everything's cool now, but I really can't wait till, next Saturday to get all the fruits of all this hard labor I've been putting in. You know what I'm saying?
Obviously, I think that's where we have to start, like going to welterweight. Like, when did you kind of think about this move, and how did this kind of move come about?
Well, the biggest thing, I really started thinking about it about when really leading up to the Trey Sean fight, when I was cutting weight. That was the first time I really didn't have to, cut about 15 pounds. I didn't even have to do any sauna work. I kind of just, did some grappling in a hot room, and then I woke up on weight. And so that was kind of like a strange thing. So it kind of got the wheels turning in my head a little bit, but still, even after the Trey Sean fight, I was trying to put on weight. I started doing some athletic training, some weight training, and, eating a lot of protein, figuring, I'd get bigger, stronger and faster. And I got stronger and faster, but I didn't get bigger. You know what I'm saying? I kept on getting a little bit smaller. And so, yeah, about 3 weeks to a month after the Trey Sean fight, I decided to do like a little test cut, see if I get down there. You know what I'm saying? It went well. And after that, I called my manager, Jason House, of Iridium Sports, and, told him, next fight's going to be at welterweight.
And then I actually heard there was talks about you versus Ian Gary potentially in your welterweight debut. Like, did that ever come across the table?
No, that never came across the table. I was just talking junk, man. I want to fight Ian Gary. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching him fight. You know what I'm saying? He's got some hype. You know what I'm saying? People think he's good. And, I just don't think he's that good. So I would love to fight him and, expose him a little bit. But, that's not who I'm fighting right now. So, my focus is all on Takashi Sato.
And then after you do the test cut, like, was it basically you wanted a quick turnaround after that, or did you want a bit more time? Like, because this is a pretty quick turnaround, especially because you're dropping down in weight.
Man, dude, I didn't feel like this was a quick turnaround at all, man. I've been training the whole time. I've been training really, really hard the whole time. So, really, after I let Jason know that I could make welterweight, I'd been, asking for fights ever since. There was actually a couple times before this that I almost got booked for a fight, but things fell through a little bit. I had 2 fights that I thought, 2 different dates I thought I was going to fight on. I just didn't really pan out. So, yeah, man. And then hopefully I can get a quicker turnaround after this fight. I'd like to get 3 fights before the end of the year. So, yeah, man, we're still working.
And with Takashi Sato, like, how familiar are you with him? Because he's had a couple fights UFC and like has fought some notable guys like Bilal and Gunnar Nelson and like guys like that.
I wasn't super familiar with him before, we got matched up, but since then, I've watched every piece of tape I can get my hands on. And, Takashi, he's a very, very interesting fighter. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be a really fun fight. You know what I'm saying? He does things a little bit differently. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's on a little skid right now. That's the first thing you'd notice if you looked up his record. But, he's on a skid against some really top-notch guys. So that's nothing to, look down on. And then on top of that, both of his wins in the UFC are by knockout, So, he's clearly dangerous. He's not someone to take lightly. I'd say he's probably the best person I've fought up to this point, which really gets me excited. You know what I mean? This is really a chance for me to make a statement by beating a real veteran in the game. So I'm pretty stoked about this.
Oh, obviously dropping down to welterweight, like how much stronger and like do you think you're going to be now that you're kind of fighting at what it sounds like your more natural weight class?
Man, dude, it's weird because I feel stronger than I was for my last fight. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I feel, and with that being said, there's still going to be stronger welterweights out there than me, but I feel pretty strong at welterweight. You know what I'm saying? I feel pretty my frame at welterweight's pretty just based on that. You know what I'm saying? Looking at paper, you know what I'm saying? It's not a bad looking frame. And it's just, look good, feel good, do good. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a machine right now, I don't need good lighting to have abs anymore. You know what I'm saying? They're just kind of there now. You know what I'm saying? That's a big plus. Yeah, I feel like a machine. You know what I'm saying? Everything's going good right now.
Was there ever a thought of just staying at middleweight until things might have gone sideways or you took a loss just because you were on a good run at middleweight? And like, I've talked to some fighters, like Chris Curtis is an example where he said, like, he's a welterweight. He said, I'm just going to keep fighting at middleweight until I lose and I'll drop back down. Or like, was that ever a thought for you?
No, not at all. Because, it's always about, putting yourself in the most optimal position. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I could have done a lot more damage at 185. There are a lot of guys who, like I said, even now, even though I'm lighter, I feel like I could go there and, perform well. And with that being said, I'm still willing to take, if it's the right matchup, take fights at 185 on short notice. You know what I'm saying? Because I can make the weight easily. So it was really more of a thing where I take this very seriously, and I want to be the best version of myself that I can be. And so, knowing that I can do something and not doing it, I feel like I'm taking shortcuts. You know what I'm saying? There's something spiritual about a weight cut. You know what I'm saying? Suffering to, make yourself achieve something. And it's funny. I've been watching a lot of F1. You ever watch F1?
Yeah, the odd time. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm a big F1 fan now. And one of the biggest things I've been telling people is like, you can have the best car in the world, but if you don't have the best driver in the world, you don't win a championship. You could have the best driver in the world, but if your car is not good enough, you're not going to win a championship. You know what I'm saying? My body's my car. My brain is my driver. You know what I'm saying? Like, my body, I have to be in the best shape possible with my body. I have to put myself, treat it like a machine and put it in the best position to succeed, at the same time, staying mentally sharp, you know what I'm saying? Not getting lackadaisical mentally or complacent mentally. So, we're always just pushing. So, getting complacent and just doing something just because it's going well, isn't something I want to, have in my camp.
But 185, is that something where a short notice fight came up, you'd still jump up back there if you wanted to stay busy, or is it just welterweight's the main focus?
Yeah, no, if it was like an interesting fight, if my manager hit me up and they say, oh, we need somebody this week, that's the kind of notice I could do it on. I could do it on a week's notice, and I like having the ability to do that, so yeah, for sure. I mean, and then who knows, the older I get, I probably will have to go back up to 85 the more I get older and my body becomes more and more grown and whatnot. So yeah, man, I mean, definitely I'm excited about going to welterweight now, but there's a whole world of possibilities still open at 85.
And with Takashi Sato, how do you think you match up against him? Because obviously he has a ton of power. He has both his wins by knockout, but kind of the way to beat him is obviously on the ground. I think the majority of his losses are by submission.
Well, and that's another thing where it's he's losing. He got controlled by Gunnar Nelson, but that's one of the best grapplers in the game. You know what I'm saying? He got submitted by Bilal and Baez, but Baez is a black belt, I believe. Bilal is one of the best grapplers in the game, so that's not something where I'm viewing that as something super duper easy. There's some openings, standing and on the ground that me and my team feel like we can exploit. But Takashi, he's a veteran, you know what I'm saying? He knows how to survive, and he knows how to handle himself in there. So whether it's on the ground or the feet, wherever the fight takes it, I'm just going to be looking for openings. As soon as an opening shows itself, I'm looking to exploit it.
How do you kind of see it playing out? Because you're a guy, other than the Gore fight and I think your debut, you finished all your fights.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that I'm still kicking myself about that daggone Gore fight. I should have both of those fights. I should have finished both of those guys, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? There's definitely opportunities, but you live and you learn. This one, I don't see this one getting out of the second round personally. You know what I'm saying? I think there's going to be a lot of pressure, and there might be some dicey situations. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be moving forward. And that's going to be I'm going to be looking to force him into some mistakes, you know what I'm saying? And so with Takashi in this fight, him being on a skid, he's going to come out probably as dangerous as he's ever looked inside the UFC. So I'm really looking forward to this. I do see openings, but I'm anticipating that he's grown and he's learned from those, you know what I mean? And that he's going to be a really dangerous guy, and that this fight's going to be very dangerous.
Even though this is your third UFC fight, are you kind of viewing this as your first real one? because obviously Gilbert was with Tough, and then the Gore fight kind of felt like a tough finale, like especially after everything he said, and obviously brought the trophy. Like, are you kind of viewing this as like your legit debut now?
Well, even above that, like you can kind of see in the UFC that there's kind of like tiers, and there's like a new guy tier. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, maybe you got your tough guys, maybe you got your contender series guys, but it's like those guys who are, younger guys who, are like at my record range, have about less than 15 fights. You know what I'm saying? There's a bunch of young guys with less than 15 fights. And you see those guys fight each other often, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like the prospect tryout stage. And, saying depending on how you do there, you get signed and you start fighting people with better records and whatnot. And so to fight someone like Takashi, who's fought high level guys, you know what I'm saying? Has, is he 15 and 4, you know what I'm saying? He has a solid record, you know what I'm saying? He's fought all over the world, you know what I'm saying? He's not like someone who they're trying to figure out who he is, you know what I'm saying? You kind of have an idea of who he is, you know what I'm saying? What he's capable of. So fighting him, on one hand, yeah, no, it is a relief. I'm happy to be not fighting someone related to not just Tough, but, my season of Tough, you know what I mean? But even beyond that, saying fighting a real bona fide veteran, not someone in kind of like that new young guy department, you know what I'm saying? So I could really, push things forward, you know what I'm saying? Show what I got.
Where do you think a win puts you in the division, especially if you go out there and finish them? Like, obviously, it'd be 1-0 welterweight, but where do you think that kind of puts you in the whole division?
It always depends on how much, how impressive the victory it is and how much clout you can get off of it. But I mean, this win, I mean, it's a statement, but it's nothing super crazy. You know what I'm saying? I still got a lot of work to do to get to some of the people that I want to fight. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm going to just keep my nose down. I'm going to keep on, bringing heads home until I can get to the top guys in the division. You know what I'm saying? The welterweight's a crazy division because it's like you got the guys at the top who've been there, and then you got a bunch of young guys, saying a bunch of undefeated killers coming up. And, the prospect of fighting either one of those old dogs or the new guys coming up really excites me. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, I got some work to do. I got some clout to gain on my own before I can get one of those matchups.
Do you plan to call anyone out, or is it just kind of see where the UFC goes? Like, obviously, you mentioned Gary, but like, is that fight kind of in the future? Like, is it just more get your feet wet at welterweight, then start calling guys out?
Man, I mean, they always say, you eat what you kill, you know what I'm saying? And closed mouths don't get fed. So, you can definitely anticipate me, dropping some names after I fight Takashi. But until then, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to disrespect Takashi by, talking about other whatnot. But yeah, no, I mean, I think you do yourself a disservice if you don't have a few names in mind after you have a win inside the octagon. You know what I mean?
Back at the Apex, you kind of bugging Jason to get you out of there and in front of fans?
I mean, at the Apex, man, yeah, that's another one where it's like I love the Apex. I feel like that's like that's my house. You know what I'm saying? I've never lost in the Apex. But I know how these things go. You know what I'm saying? Beggars can't be choosers. I'm just trying to take a fight whenever I can. And they have so many events at the Apex, it's kind of hard to miss that. But yeah, I'm trying to graduate to an arena somewhere. You know what I mean? I heard in September there was talks about them having a fight night in Atlanta. And I would desperately love to be on an Atlanta card. That's so close to home. That would be the closest I would have fought to home since 2019. So, yeah, man, I'm not too pressed about it, but if I could fight somewhere within like 3 hours of, where all my family and friends are, that'd be pretty dope.
Just last thing, like, what is kind of the goal then for you the rest of the year? Like, you hoping at least get one more in after this one?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's how we get paid. That's how we eat in this game. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking to not only get paid, but to, rise my stock as a fighter. You know what I'm saying? To, change the way people, think about me or how they think my skills are and whatnot. So yeah, man, at least one more fight after this. At least one more, at least 3 a year. If I could sneak 4 in, that would be terrific. You know what I'm saying? I would probably, if I was able to get 4, I'd probably chill out for a little bit just so I could, continue to develop my skills and get better. But yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason to slow down. I feel good. I feel healthy. And as long as I feel good and feel healthy, I'm going to be looking to, keep on fighting.
Well, Bryan, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me, man. You have a
All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight Terrance McKinney, who's back in action in August. Terrance, how's it going, man?
Great, man.
Before you get into your last fight, I just quickly want to touch on your last one. Like we talked before it against Drew Dober, like UFC took that risk on like a couple days' notice, like, and you had him hurt. Like looking back on that fight, like even though it's a loss, like do you think your stock grew from that one, showing that like how dangerous they are even just on a couple days' notice?
Yeah, I think it was a win-win because I got to gain experience and I got to learn what I needed to work on. And plus, I showed that I can compete with the best guys in the world.
And then after that fight, like, was this the right time frame for you to return?
I wanted to come back sooner, but the opponent wouldn't be able to be ready till August, so we had to push it back.
And Eric Gonzalez, like, how familiar are you with him as the guy you're fighting?
I studied a few of his fights. I didn't see anything too special. He's kind of wild, but that's going to make for an exciting fight, and I can't wait for August 6th.
And his debut obviously got knocked out by Jim Miller. Like, does that kind of give you confidence where you're kind of known for knocking people out early and Jim was able to do that to him?
Yeah, that does give me a lot of confidence because I can guarantee I hit harder than Jim Miller. And I'm not just a hard hitter. I'm actually like a slick striker. I like to set things up. So I'm excited for this fight. And I want to show the fans that I've been working on my cardio, so I'll make sure I slow roast them.
And back at the Apex, like a bit disappointed in that, or do you kind of like going back there?
I want to be in front of the fans super bad, but I like the Apex because the cage is smaller, so like you really got to get down to business, and that always plays to my favor.
And something you mentioned there, like in the previous answer, was you kind of wanted to slow roast them because you've been working on your cardio. Is that something that like you've really kind of put an emphasis on this camp, or is that something you've always been working on?
We're putting an emphasis on it this camp. I'm working with my strength and conditioning coach, Dylan Emery, the same one that's for Saeed, and you guys saw his incredible cardio. So I'm excited to shut the haters up on that part.
Yeah, like is that something you've seen? Like all the comments saying like you don't have good cardio, or like is that kind of why do you want to do it?
Yeah, that's why I want to do it. You know, I love proving people wrong.
So as much as you want like that first round knockout, like are you kind of hoping it goes later then?
Yeah, but like I said, I want a devastating finish either way though. Once the time comes.
With this fight, like obviously coming off your first UFC loss, but like they kind of talked about, like you still have a lot of stock. So like you go out there and beat Eric. Like, do you kind of think that sends like a message, another message to the lightweight division, especially if it goes later on that like now you're a real problem, like even if the fight gets late?
Yeah, exactly. And because they know I'm already dangerous one round and I can be dangerous all 3, there's going to be a lot of people in trouble.
With Eric, like how do you kind of see yourself winning this fight then?
I'm just going to be a complete mixed martial artist, not just like becoming a wild man after I drop a person. I'm going to be actually looking for the submissions as well. So just showing people like my fight IQ has really grown.
And you go out there and finish him. Like, where do you think that kind of puts you? Just because I think you're on the cusp of getting a top 15 guy.
I think that puts me at like one more good fight and then fight for a ranked spot. That's the plan.
And then you've like, I know you always like to be active, and here you are having like what 5 months off of your last fight, and it's already the 3rd fight of the year. Like, is this like? Are you happy with how many fights you got in this year? Or you wish you already had more at this point?
No, I would have liked it sooner so I could been doing like a fourth fight because I want to at least get 5 in this year. So we'll see how things play.
I guess the one good thing about this card is I know your friend in Jamal Hill's the main event. What's that going to be like sharing another card with him?
That's gonna be good, man, because we're gonna be able to feed off each other, and I hope we both walk away with some nice bonus money from Dana.
Yeah, is that something like? How did that kind of whole relationship start between you two?
We're both on the Contender Series, and I can just tell he was funny. But now, like everyone gets to see that he's funny as hell and he's creative. So I'm happy for the growth I've been seeing with him.
Is that something even on fight week, like you guys will get together and maybe train a bit or like cut weight together or something?
I'll go say hi to him in his room sometimes, but nothing too crazy.
I,
But we get on the phone calls like a bunch though. I talk to him on the phone a bunch.
what are those phone calls like? I imagine they're pretty funny.
They're pretty funny, yeah. We'll be clowning.
With this one, like you kind of mentioned it a bit, but smaller octagon at the apex. Do you like that or do you prefer the bigger octagon?
I like the smaller octagon because people, like they said, they're trying to get retired but in the air. Like, they don't understand it's a lot harder to do. There's no way to really go. And I know how to cut people off, and I know how to do damage if that back touched the cage.
Are you kind of expecting Eric to wrestle you pretty early in this one?
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting, but we're going to be ready for wherever he comes with. And he better set his shot up because we're working on them knees, them elbows, and I'm going to make sure I'm seeing it all.
Obviously, one of your close training partners and Saeed got that big win. Like, what was that kind of like for you? Does that give you confidence heading into this fight?
Oh, yeah. Now the momentum's set, and it's time for me to keep it going for the team. Dominant performance over Ronnie Lawrence. And people don't know that kid's legit, and he went out there and made it look easy.
Yeah, and he was the betting underdog again. I think both his fights he was the underdog. So you and your team make money off him then?
Of course, every time I try to tell people, every time I put them on.
How much do you get to work with him? Obviously, he's a bit smaller bandweight, but I feel like just his like pace and pressure is probably a good body to work with for you.
You guys should see our spars. It's like Vegeta and Goku in there.
And something else I want to ask you about is on Twitter, you always mention how you want your life to be a movie one day. Like, do you think like that's probably a realistic thing, especially if you become champion? Like, yeah, your story's been well documented, but if you become UFC champion, like, I have to think one of those movie companies is going to be reaching out to you.
They gotta, it's like I can just feel in my spirit. It's just part of God's plan. I just gotta keep putting the work in and just keep getting as many wins as possible till I have the belt.
Just a couple more things. You get past Eric. Like, what's kind of the goal then for the rest of this year? Like, I imagine it's quick as possible at the next fight.
I'm trying to fight in Abu Dhabi, and I got a few names I'm gonna call after this fight, and let's see if they about it.
Calling out guys, that's something like you and your coach look at possible things, or is that you doing that yourself and trying to figure out matchups?
Both. I know stylistically which fights would be the best, and I know the guys that go forward, so that's kind of the fights I like because I think I'm just a little bit faster than people when it comes to the exchanges, and that's huge when you're in the line of fire.
Maybe that Dober rematch can come in a couple years then.
Yeah, he said he doesn't do rematches, and in my heart, I whooped his ass. Look at his face, and then look at my face. So,
and obviously you have like a lot of these first round finishes, but I don't think people really realize like you grew up wrestling and grappling. Like, do you think that's still an underrated part of your game? Is people now just only view you as this striker where they don't really know about your ground game?
Yeah, that's honestly, it cracks me up every time, but honestly, that's good for me because when I get those elite guys, I can start really pulling that out my hat and making them tired, getting them tired with the wrestling, and then following up with the hands. I think it's going to be like just the perfect plan because not a lot of people can wrestle at the level that I wrestle at in my division.
And just last thing, you mentioned Abu Dhabi. Like, is that just something, a place you want to go, or like what's kind of with it? Because I know a lot of people don't want to go there because it's a long flight.
I just want to experience. I like seeing different cultures, and I think that would be just like an amazing experience. So that's why I want to go there so bad. October, please, please, Dana.
And then you still have enough time to get a December fight in or something.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds Shelby. I need those nuts. We're ready to work.
Well, Terrance, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, no problem, brother. Stay blessed.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you. All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Jason Witt, who's returning in August. Jason, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man. Just finished up a training. It was it's a hard day, as always.
Obviously, lost the last one. Like, was this about the right time frame for you to return? Like 6 months after your last fight?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for something a little bit shorter time frame. I was looking for like April, May, but this one just worked out the way it did. And you know, what I mean, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. So this is the time frame that I got, and this time frame I'm gonna work with.
And your opponent, Josh Quinlan, like, how familiar are you with him? Just because this will be his UFC debut.
Yeah, not much. I've watched the contender series fight. I've watched one of our guys we have at Glory is Dallas Jennings. He fought him a couple fights ago. And he's a good guy. He's powerful, he's strong. I think my experience level is definitely going to play an advantage in this. Having that UFC jitters is definitely going to be a factor in this. But, you know, not too familiar with him. I don't think he's anything special, nothing I haven't seen before. So I'm actually really excited about the matchup.
Hey, like, obviously an undefeated guy, but like, I think up until Dallas, like, the level of competition really wasn't there. Like, he wasn't fighting the highest level of guys. So, like, do you really take much of his like early wins where he's finishing these guys in that first, second round, or to kind of throw that out just because of the level of competition?
I mean, you have to take it into a factor. You can't just disrespect the game by saying about trash cans. I'm not saying he did, but you know what I mean? So you can't just throw that away. You have to kind of look at, hey, what's he doing to win these fights, and why is he winning these fights regardless of who's against? You know what I mean? There's a couple of guys when I was turning pro or beating my pro career that were not to my level that I had to beat up. So that's just part of how it is. I feel like I had to murder somebody, or I had to like fight 6 times. I didn't have to do it, but I feel like I had to do a lot of work just to get into the UFC, and he's 5-0, and I'm not sure if that's enough to kind of put your place.
How much are you relying on Dallas then, just to like kind of give you some tips on him?
Not a lot, man. You know what I mean? He fought him, and I've kind of picked his brain a little bit and talked to him quite a bit about it. But you know, he's going to be a different fighter than when he fought Dallas. I'm a different fighter than Dallas is. So it's really not about what he does. It's what I do. You know what I mean? So if I come in there and do what I'm supposed to do, it won't matter who it is.
And then with Josh, like, stylistically, like, how do you think you kind of match up against him?
Yeah, I think I match up really well with him. I know he's a good wrestler. I fought quite a few good wrestlers. And striking wise, I just think he's an average fighter. He has a good right hand, throws heavy leg kicks, stuff like that. But honestly, I think my style will just kind of put some pressure on him, fight him like I did Barberina, and just keep pressure on him and take him down and go from there.
And then with it being at the apex in the smaller octagon, like, do you think that kind of benefits you, where he has less room to kind of go when you're going for those takedowns or trying to get in close to him?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of times I've shot in that apex from the middle of the cage and still got the takedown because, you know, you take 5 steps backwards, you're against the fence again. So, yeah, I think that smaller cage definitely helps me out a lot. Fighting Barberina in the 3rd round really didn't, because I wanted to get the fuck away from him, and I couldn't. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I think he definitely plays advantage in my game.
And then with training at Glory, like, you see Brandon Moreno came over there. Like, what's that like for you? Because you've been at the gym for a while, to have a guy that's fighting for the title in your, like, going to the gym.
Yeah, man, he is, dude. That kid is good. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've sparred him, and obviously I'm way bigger than he is. He wears elbow pads and knee pads, which we don't do that at Glory very often. A lot of people don't. So he was hitting me with elbows and knees, and I'm like, where the fuck is this shit coming from? But he's really good, man. He's one of the hardest workers in the room. He's always there 30 minutes early, breaking his sweat, working his butt off. His drilling pace is like, the kid doesn't get tired. He really is a good fighter. You kind of see that kind of leaking into the younger crowd, the younger kids that are like, oh, this is what you got to do to get to this level, and that's how it is.
And then, like, obviously, you just mentioned you were training with Moreno, but obviously he's a lot smaller than you. So, like, who are kind of the main guys you're working with? Is it the kind of the usual cast crew you're working with?
Yeah, I got a couple guys. I always work with Julian Marquez, Trey Ogden, both in the UFC. Or with Dallas Jennings quite a bit. There's a couple other guys that I work around with. Nick Meck is a super good college wrestler that's coming over. We got a couple other guys that are just really top-notch wrestlers that are really helping out a lot.
And with Josh, like, how do you kind of see this one playing out then?
Yeah, I don't see me putting him away fast. I think it's going to be a kind of a grinding fight. I think I'm going to have to take his steam away in the first round. He comes out pretty hot and heavy. I think I'll just kind of fit in and grapple that down to where he's not as so just tense and throwing heavy super shots. But yeah, I think I'll just grind him away. Probably third round finish, if not a decision.
And then if you get your hand raised, like, where do you think that kind of puts you in division?
That's a great question. I don't really know. I really don't. The funny thing is, like, if you look at Bryan Barberena, who he's fighting after he lost to me, it definitely makes sense to me. Like why do you get the Matt Brown fight? Why do you get the Robbie Lawler fight? Like, I beat you. Why don't I get? I can say that. I can say that all I want, but I don't know where it puts me. I don't really have room to call anybody out. I'm 3-2 in the UFC, or other way around, whatever. So it really doesn't help me out much to call anybody out. I'm just here to fight because I love doing it and make a little bit of cash while I'm at it.
Yeah, like, what do you kind of make of that? Because you beat Bryan, and then you kind of look at who he's gotten, like, in Matt Brown and Robbie Lawler. Like, were you a bit disappointed? Like, you aren't getting those fights, or like, what you kind of make of that?
Man, I think, if you want my honest opinion, I think Bryan Barberena fought me. The UFC gave me as a stepping stone to kind of like get Bryan Barberena back into winner contention, to get him back into the bigger names. And it didn't play out, and they still went with it anyways. So it sucks. It really does. But it's just part of the game. If I didn't lose the last fight, I think I really would have had a better chance of getting a bigger name, and that's kind of my fault. And I dropped the ball on that one and move on.
Something we've talked about too is how you were like stressed and you weren't sleeping that good. Like, you went to the PI and got it fixed. Like, how much better is kind of training now that you kind of got that all sorted?
Yeah, it's so much better. It's just regulating my schedule to where I'm not going to bed at 11 o'clock, waking up at 4 a.m., training twice a day, 3 days, 6 days a week. It's just like I was just burning the candle at both ends. I was killing myself. Now I'm a lot more regulated in what I need to do in terms of, hey, if my body's not feeling 2 days, I'll go for a light run after a workout, or if I don't want to lift weights because I feel like my body's running down, I won't lift weights. I'll do some yoga or stretching, or I'll just kind of not kill myself to get there and just make sure I get extra sleep. So it really just kind of gave me a hold on all aspects of my life, in terms of business, in terms of stress, in terms of relaxing, all that stuff. It really helped me out quite a bit.
And then I know you said maybe lightweight. Like, is that completely rolled out now? It's like welterweight from here on out?
Yeah, it's fun. It's not possible. They told me I couldn't make it at that time, and that was 2 years ago. And fuck me, man. I'm 35 years old. That just doesn't sound fun to me at all. If the paycheck was there, it might be a different story. Like, I might have to kill myself, but it's going to be like a 12, 16 week camp to do. I'm not a huge welterweight, but I am a thick welterweight. Like, people see me in person, I look a lot bigger than I actually am. And I'm a pretty heavy. Walk around 190. So I'm not a huge welterweight, but I'm a thick welterweight, and just making 155. I don't know how Khabib and those people did it. Like, they were 190s, 195. I don't know how Conor McGregor, how's he ever going to make 155 again? I have no idea. It just doesn't. Like, that man looks huge right now. So to watch him do that, or watch me to do that, it just doesn't. Conor's making millions of dollars. I can make 155. You pay me millions of dollars, I will make 155, no problem. But I'm not making millions of dollars, so it's just doesn't equal in my mind.
Is the cut to welterweight like a hard one for you, or is it just kind of manageable now?
It's pretty manageable. I have to pay attention to what I'm doing, just because I'm old. But yeah, I just make sure that I'm just eating healthy and making sure I get enough sleep to where my weight doesn't go super crazy.
And then just last thing, like, you get past Josh, like, what's kind of the goal for you then the rest of this year?
Man, I'd like to fight again. I'd like to fight at least 3 times this year. This is August. I think maybe like a before Christmas fight would be nice. Just get an extra one in, get some Christmas money too. Sounds good to me. I'd like to fight again.
And then you can enjoy Christmas and the New Year's, not have to worry about your weight or anything.
Yeah, except it never works out that way. They'll be like, all right, July 1st, you got to fight. And I'm like,
yeah.
Like, January 1st, you got to fight them. You sons of bitches.
The next one's got to be in front of fans. Like, you haven't is all your fights at the Apex? I was trying to remember.
They are, man, and it sucks. And I get so much slack from my wife, from my mom, from my family, and all my friends. Like, hey man, what do you need to get on a pay-per-view card we can go to? And I really thought about my post-fight interview, being like, Sean Shelby, like, put me on a pay-per-view fight just so my family can go, just so my friends can go. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm an exciting fighter. Like, you watch a fight, know that I'm going to put on a good fight no matter what. But it's like, just give me that opportunity for me to fight in front of fans, because I never have in that aspect in the UFC. And two, just let my family and friends go to the fight. I think that'd be cool.
Well, Jason, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, bud. Thank you.